thank you for having me over here. But I actually believe it's an error of judgment on behalf of Professor Ajay Gudavarthy. Amidst all the professors like Professor Patnaik and Mohanty and Professor Jha, etc., he has called a journalist who has no pretensions to being an academic or being anywhere near the academic world. So the best I can offer you is give you a journalistic take on his book. And the first thing which struck me about his book is the wonderful title, it fills me with hope, India After Modi. Because we all have been speculating about 2019, but this is more like a definitive thing. Yes, we can look forward to India after Modi. But then there are pitfalls. The journey is never smooth, as this book outlines over a few chapters. And let me first confess over here, I haven't read the book cover to cover as maybe most of these other panelists or probably every other panelist would have done. I have just got a PDF of the book and just picked and chose some topics to read, some certain chapters to read. I was more like a child in a confectionery shop. मुझे ये वाली मिठाई चाहिए कि मुझे ये वाली मिठाई चाहिए? नहीं, मुझे दोनों चाहिए. So I started with obviously the first chapter and then skipped a few and then went to the last. But one thing which struck me as a Muslim and as a journalist was a dispassionate look which Professor Gudavarthy had taken at the whole emerging social climate of our country post-2014. As a young man born and brought up in Delhi, until 2014, and I say it with respect to 2002, 1992, 1984 and 1975, I was never acutely aware of my religious identity. I had studied in Bluebell's school in Kailash Colony and went to Delhi University, so for St. Stephen's and other places. So for me, religion was something you did at home. You went to the mosque to pray and you prayed and you basically fasted in the month of Ramzan, but it never overlapped into your social sphere. You didn't pick and choose your friends or your colleagues or anything on the basis of their religion or your caste or your religion or any such thing. Unfortunately, post-2014, I have been made acutely aware of my religious identity. Partly, I guess it has something to do with the fact that I sport a long white beard, which probably tells people they are speaking to a Muslim. And in today's climate, there is always the case of judging the person before meeting the person. You just have one look and you say, Mullah ji aa rahe hain. I'll give you two instances from my own life to outline this point which Professor Gudavarthy has said in different words across the book at various places. Back in the good old days, jab really अच्छे दिन थे, in 2013, one day I was coming from Noida to my office at PTI building by a metro, and at that time I had a longer beard than what I have today. And it was summertime, and one 75-80-year-old man saw me standing and he tried to get up to offer me the seat. So I said, no, you please carry on, I'm comfortable. He again insisted after a minute or two. I said, nahi sir, aap baithiye. Then he finally managed to stand up. And he mistook my beard for my intellectual attainment. And he said, आपका धर्म जो भी हो, ये हमारी संस्कृति के विरुद्ध है. एक विद्वान खड़ा हो, एक आम नागरिक बैठा हो. That was in 2013. Let me tell you what happened to me earlier this year. I think it was in March and it was at a petrol pump in East Delhi in Pathak. I had gone for a refill for my car. As my turn came, I inched forward as one does at any fueling station. The guy who was in charge of fueling, he came close to me and then suddenly decided to refill the car which was behind me. So I asked him, "Bhaiya, kya hua?" Then I realized the car behind me had a saffron flag on it and a BJP flag on it. So the guy came back to me to tell, सर पहले इन्हें खुश रखेंगे तभी तो आपको खुश रखेंगे. So that one sentence says it all about the changing social dynamics of our country, and it is discourtesy, not courtesy, Modi era. Now on to another thing. Professor Sir very eloquently talks of the right changing the discourse, which my fellow panelists have already pointed out. But he gives them maybe the benefit of doubt. He says that they are accused of changing the discourse, and the right has distanced itself from the event, even as it might be lending support. The question is, the right is not might be lending support, the right is lending support. I'll give you one small instance, or two instances.
That is the one edited by the publisher. He has to answer.
One answer.
They do support involved in violence. They made it might be.
If we hadn't done that, we wouldn't have been seeing the book here. I mean, we would all be
so
probably somebody in the book.
I have been an editor too.
Cheers.
So one simple thing. I think we all remember 2015, September 28, the lynching of Muhammad Akhlaq. And I don't need to recall how it all took place. A couple of days after Bakra Eid, and he was accused of basically keeping beef in his refrigerator as if it's a crime to hold something in your fridge which you would like to eat after a day or two. Anyway, when this gentleman's body came back to his family, it was unrecognizable. His nails had been pulled out. His skull was broken. 6 of his ribs were broken. One of his ears was chopped off. His lower lip was chopped off. Now this could not have been the work of a person just driven by hate. This was the work of a person who had cultivated hatred and trained to kill the perceived enemy. Now at this time, after such a killing, our Union Minister, Mr. Mahesh Sharma, said to the press that वो एक हादसा था. It was merely an accident, and advised the family members of Akhlaq to treat it as such and move on. Now, on the look of it, it seems just a very sane advice that you don't hold anybody accountable, just carry on with your life. But it's also a very escapist, a very irresponsible way of looking at it. The complete picture came a few days later, rather just a couple of days later. First, Mr. Sharma went to the house of the accused in Dadri and spent more than an hour with their family members who were concerned कि अब हमारे बेटे को क्या होगा, will the police release them, will they get a bail today or tomorrow, or blah blah blah. Those were their concerns. Then he made a token visit to the house of Akhlaq and spent a grand total of 90 seconds. So his priorities were clear in that little gesture. Then, if you needed underlining, as the writers say, bold, all caps, underline, shadow, that came a few months later, when the same union minister decided that one of the accused, Ravin Sisodia, who had died in prison allegedly because of dengue, and due to the other version is that there was a prison fight among the prisoners. Either way, he decided that he will give him a royal farewell. So he wrapped the body of Ravin Sisodia in the tricolor and sent him away on his last journey. If you needed proof of the othering of Muslims and accepting of the murder of the Muslims, they could not have been a more vocal, more eloquent example than provided by Mr. Mahesh Sharma. Later in this book, Professor Saab talks of permanent othering of Muslims. Yes, there has been othering of Muslims over the last 4 years, 4.5 years, and it did not begin with Akhlaq, it only hit headlines with Akhlaq. But I am one of those Nehruvian era optimists. I refuse to believe that we have sunk so low. Pessimism cannot be an abiding emotion. And I believe, yes, there is othering of Muslims, but it will come back to normal. It may take time. It will take time. Because the poison has reached the social level from the political level. And you can change the BJP government in 2019, and at the very limited thing, you can change Modi in 2019. What you cannot easily change is the poison that has seeped through to the middle class and the lower class of the society. And for this, I would just recall my experience at the petrol pump. The same guy in a metro station 5 years ago was offered a seat because he sported a long white beard by a Hindu gentleman. The same guy was not given his petrol before the guy at the back was given the petrol because of his white beard. And therein lies the challenge. But at the same time, I do have hope that we will come back to normal, because India's soul is essentially pluralist. And for that, you don't need to listen to a politician saying that, or to any academic or any journalist saying that. Just observe a few cars driving on the national highway on any given day. Every 2, 3, 4 kilometers, when you're driving on the highway first thing in the morning, you'll see that there will be a small temple on your left or right. It will usually be called Prachin Shiv Shakti Mandir, even though it might have come up in 2016. So the driver will just slow down and make a gesture of obeisance towards the temple, towards the presiding deity of that temple. And in that 3, 4 kilometers will lapse, and he will repeat the same thing. But another 8, 10 kilometers down the line, he'll come across a dargah. Again, supposedly a medieval dargah, more likely just an encroachment. So it will have white wall and a green dome and a green door. The guy will again slow down his car and will bow down towards the dargah, pay his obeisance while driving. In that little gesture lies hope for India. Thank you very much.
Thank you.